friends. It's a brand new week and we are well into the festive season. If you celebrate anything this time of year, many of us do, then I'm sure that you, like me, are very busy getting ready for that. And even if you don't celebrate anything in particular, you probably have some friends or colleagues who do, and you are attending some degree of holiday parties. So this past week was my office's holiday party, and I thought it would be really fun to do a get ready with me for that holiday party. And I tried to and had a full on tickle tantrum. It was just not working out for me. And then I was in a rush and I just had to get it done and get out the door. And then, of course, if you follow me on Instagram, I posted a short video of myself wearing the style, which I had shot to show a friend, but I completely forgot to take any photos, any other documentation of that look before I took it off. Still, I was really pleased with how it came out, and I thought that it was just such a lovely party special event wrap that I definitely wanted to shoot a tutorial for it. So here it is. In that original clip, what I wore to the party, I wore a navy sparkalicious with a light silver shimmery scarf, both from Rapunzel. But honestly, you could do this with any two light to medium weight sparkly scarves. I am going to recommend that you make one of them a shimmery, just because if you've seen any of my other videos where I use the shimmeries, you know I go on about how lovely the fringe is, and this is definitely a look that features it. So I'm not going to be using the same scarves. I am today going to be using this. This is in olive Shinylicious. I also have the jazzy scarves from the winter launch, which I think would also be stunning in this. You could even use a constellation or an infinite cosmos. I mean, you don't even have to use both sparkly scarves, but nothing too heavy. So I'm going to be using this olive, Shinylicious, and then this gold shimmery, which I thought looked really pretty together. So first things first, and I'm wearing Cloud9 Shaper. Just a real quick thing, if I ever forget to mention what it is that I'm using or wearing in a video, check the description box. I put everything down. So I am going to put this on my head, and I am going to put it a little bit off center. And that's because the first end that gets brought up doesn't have to tuck in too neatly, because we are going to put the shimmery over top of it. So if there's any fringes hanging out, the shimmery is going to cover that. But the second end really does need to be nice and tidy, and so I want to make sure that that second end is long enough that I'm not going to have to worry about it. So you can see this is the center mark that's right to the side of my head. So I'm going to put it over there, and I'm going to put it on at an angle. You don't have to angle this if you don't like the way that angles look on your face, but I do. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to tie it in a knot right behind my head. Okay. Make sure I get my earring out. There we go. Nice angle right there. And then I am going to take this first side, fold in my edges, and bring it up and over. And then you can see that is pretty short, but I think I can still manage to get it tucked in just a little bit over here. Barely, barely. But that's okay. As I said, we don't need to worry too much about the rest of this, because that is going to get covered up by our second scarf. So now I'm going to take my shimmery. This is, as I said, in gold, and I am going to put it on my head nice and even. And I'm going to put it on just behind that crisscross. And you can show as much or as little of that first scarf here as you want. Because I'm trying to cover up those fringes, I'm going to have mine pretty far forward, but that is a matter of personal preference. And then same thing in the back, pull that tail out, and I am tying it in a knot. So sometimes when you put a shimmery on over top of another scarf, you get like a little bit of a bubble here. So you want to make sure that you pull the edge here to really make sure that that goes in nice and tidy, and then make sure that this is adjusted so that it is sitting evenly, that it is sitting as far back or as forward as you want it. And as I said, my ends are equal or relatively close to it. So now we are going to take that second end of our first scarf, in my case the Shinylicious, and I'm going to fold the edges in and I am going to bring it up. But I really want to keep this nice and broad. I really want to get as much coverage around the sides here as I can, because this is what is going to give us what I think is the unique effect of this wrap. And then once you get to the back, it depends how much tail you have left. So I think I have enough that nothing is falling out. As always, if you're worried about your fringes falling out, you can give it a tiny little twist before tucking it up and in. If you find that it's running a little shorter, you can tuck it in at the nape of your neck. But the important part is that this you really do want to focus on making extra tidy, because this is all going to be visible. Okay, I think I've got that sitting how I want it. And now I'm going to bring up the final end, not the final end, second to final end of my shimmery. And I want to keep it folded pretty narrowly, because what I want is to have the underneath scarf showing on both sides. So make sure that I've got my edges tucked in, and then bring that up and over right through the center of that green. And I'm going to tie this in a little bit of a beginner's luck, just like so. Now you could simply tie it in the beginner's luck and be done, but as you can see, that is a pretty long tail, a little bit longer than I prefer, and I also don't like it to be have my two ends be that uneven. You can definitely even the ends up at an earlier stage in the process. You can put your shimmery on a little bit more to one side, but I am instead going to do what Andrea calls the amped up beginner's luck. And so I am going to take the second end and I am going to keep wrapping it around. And so this is going to eat up a lot of that length. And then at this point, and you can like keep bringing it up if you want to, and you have a couple of options. You can leave it out and just kind of let it cascade from up high. You can bring this back over and tuck it in. But what I thought looked the nicest and the neatest was instead to bring it down and also have my fringes coming forward. For some reason, I just really love my tails coming out in the same direction. That's just personal preference. And so I am going to twist this forward so it sort of has the inverse effect. We wrapped the scarf back and now we're twisting it forward. And then I'm gonna find underneath this first edge, just that little gap right there, and bring my tail back through it. And I'm going to hold on to this to make sure that I don't get it pulled through. And it makes this really pretty looking knot that, you know, it's kind of hard to tell how it's done. And I just thought that it looked really nice. And my two ends are now hanging really evenly. and I thought it looked gorgeous, just like that. So this is the final look, and here's how it looks from the front, side, back, and the other side. So I can see I have a little bit of a lurex thread coming out of my shimmery. You can either trim that or just shove it under something. Not a big deal. You know, when in doubt with your wraps, just keep tucking and eventually you'll come up with something that looks good. So that's it. You can really use any two colored scarves that you like for this, depending on what your outfit looks like. I just thought this was so fun and festive for Chag, for holiday parties, for simchas. I'm definitely going to be using this one again when I have special occasions. So if you like this, please subscribe, follow me over on Instagram, and I will see you next time. That's a wrap for me. Thank you so much for watching.